June 4th, 2024 Sebring City Council meeting. If you'll all stand with me, the mayor's going to lead us in the prayer and pledge. Got my garbage.
Please bow with me. Lord, thank you once again for a wonderful day. Thank you for the city that we live in. Thank you for the staff that keeps it moving along like it is. We ask that you watch over all of our staff and our citizens, and especially our first responders that protect us on a daily basis. We ask that you also look over our country and hopefully bring it together where everybody works together. Even though we may have different decisions to make, everybody gets along in the end. We ask that all we do in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Ms. Haley, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here.
Havy.
Here.
Mendel.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Bishop.
Here. All right, if anyone has anything they would like to discuss that is not on the agenda, you can fill out one of the forms here on the front table, hand it in to Clerk Haley, and we will get to it at the appropriate time. First up is the mayor's report.
Just a couple things. I think you'll notice that the cameras are gone from downtown and the roads are open in the last few days and didn't have any stoppage. So I'm sure some of our merchants downtown are happy for that. But I think in the long run, it's really going to help pick up business in that. The HGTV crew did an excellent job, spent a lot of time, and did a lot of neat things for our city. So if you haven't gone around the circle and enjoyed it yet, we got a few businesses opening up. Bob getting his Irish market going. We got some other businesses that are relocating downtown, so it's really been a boost for the downtown. And I think once it airs next spring, probably April, May, June area, it's really going to be make a significant difference at that time. But also got to attend the Memorial Day service at the Military Sea Service Museum. John Cecil and the group do a great job every year. It was very warm though, so I think that held a little attendance back, but it didn't rain, which is a good thing. Coming up, we have the Juneteenth is on June 15th. Maid McGowan's putting that together again at the park across from the church. And then on June 21st from 4 to 8, the Sebring Small Business Organization's having their summer jubilee. They're trying to do a quarterly event. The merchants will get together on the circle and do what they did last time, but it was a pretty cool event last time. So, and that's all I have.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Carlisle.
Well, as usual, the mayor steals my thunder.
There you go.
Because everything he spoke about, I was going to talk about. But I think I know I've noticed downtown on the circle in the evenings there seems like a lot more people, people with kids down there. So I'm encouraged with that. Even though we've had a lot of complaints, there are people using what's on the circle and enjoying it. That's it.
Ms. Mendel.
Good evening. We're so glad you're here. I echo what these gentlemen said. The HGTV folks just did a great job, and the downtown area looks so spiffy. And Sebring really has kind of closed down after about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's just way more open, way more enjoyed by our people, and we're so grateful for that. With the help of Stephen Kramer, I've been working on the Truist Park, and we got the down lighting going for that, and it looks very nice. I saw it last night. Stephen Kramer's done an awesome job, and also we're working on Elsa Khan's downtown park, and getting the benches repaired and the landscaping filled in, and we had a tree taken down and things to just make it a lot nicer. And whenever I'm driving downtown, I always try to look and see how that park's being used, and quite a few people do use that, so we're grateful to be getting that looking better. Thank you. That's it.
Josh.
I want to give a shout out to all the city staff who helped with the HGTV event, especially Public Works and the police department. There's a lot of man hours and a lot of work went into that. I think it looks great. Also attended the county commission meeting today. because the Tourist Development Council was presenting a concept for a new multi-use sports complex, which the commission gave kind of a blessing to continue to pursue it and come back with some final numbers, which could be a really, really awesome thing for our community. And the location they're looking at is within city limits, which would be very cool. And I guess we'll learn more probably in August when they come back. That's it.
Thank you, city. Thank you, the HGTV. Living downtown, I get to see all the people at the circle all the time, and it's just great to see tons of families all the time, and just to see those spaces being utilized in ways I haven't really seen before. So it's just been great to be able to walk downtown and to appreciate it in a different light. A little update on the golf course. Last meeting we talked about that little pop-up disc golf tournament. So we had 50 players show up on May 25th. Excellent turnout. We brought people from Lakeland, Gainesville, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, just anywhere you can think of in Florida. Really good turnout. People were thankful. I think it's going to be it could be one of the premier disc golf courses in the state if we decide that we want to pursue it in the future. We are going to try another tournament on August 10th. We're going to really hope for about a full roster of players, about 72 players compared to the 50 that we already had. We're excited about it. Golf course maintenance, we got the temporary greens are open, so we got players back on the field. The last tee box was removed today. Fred was working on that. They're fumigating everything on Monday, and new turf is going to be planted this month. So good things are happening, not just downtown, but all over. And so just really exciting time to be part of Sebring.
And Harrison, what's the status of the irrigation out there on the golf course? Is it all working well?
Yeah, I think with the variable drives, everything is working the way it needs to, and the greens actually look good. And I think this is some of the best fairways I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as proposed.
Second.
All right, Ms. Haley?
Corno.
Yes.
Haley.
Yes.
Linda.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right. Item 10A, we have the purchase and sale agreement between the City of Sebring and Blue Sky Communities. Scott, do you want to come up? Or Scott Natelick, either one of you? You want to give us the background?
So, as you guys will recall, at your November 7, 2023 meeting, council received an unsolicited proposal from Robert Blackman and Blue Sky Communities for some properties located off Park Street, Spruce Street, and Avocado Street, and then Holloway Drive. Council instructed staff to issue an RFP for those properties. City Sebring Purchasing Department published RFP 24-003 on December 22nd, 2023, to be received on February 7th, 2024. The RFP drew 0 new proposals and the one unsolicited proposal. Council approved a motion to move forward. We've been working with Blue Sky Communities on the parcel or portion of the parcel that they were interested in, and probably have come to the conclusion at this point in time anyway, we're not quite ready for them to make application to the state because we've got some hurdles to overcome. We do have a couple of wellheads located in very close proximity, which are creating some issues with placing buildings on the property. And then, of course, as you know, we have a cell tower on the property that would require moving as well. So with that said, I'll allow Scott to chime in if you like.
Thank you, and thank you to the City Council for having me tonight. I also want to thank Bob and Scott for all the work they've put in thus far. on this property, we we are still extremely interested in Sebring and this parcel, as Scott alluded to. When we make application to the state of Florida for funding, we have to be extremely confident that there are no obstacles that cannot be overcome in the development of the property. The cell tower and the wellheads at this point, I think we just haven't made it through enough due diligence to come to that conclusion, and the penalties are very stiff if you're unable to move forward once you have an award. So we're committed to continue to work through those with the city and hopefully find a solution. But in the case that we can't, we are committed to finding some solution here in the city of Sebring. And I just want to thank everyone here for their support, in making it a priority to get some housing built for the hardest working citizens of Sebring that they can actually afford to live in. And so, I'm just thankful for the interactions I've had with you all, and happy to field any questions if there are any.
So, Scott, if I understand, then what you're saying is if this particular parcel doesn't end up working, you're open to still doing a project on a different piece of land somewhere in Sebring?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No, we appreciate your
Yeah.
efforts, Scott.
Yeah,
I think it's,
I think it's such a worthwhile project, and I'm glad you're willing to work with us, and we want to work with you, and we would love to see a wonderful project like what we saw over in Brandon with your beautiful building over there, and the fact that you stay with the project in managing it and don't just flip it or hand it over to somebody else. So thank you very much, and we do want to help you in any way we can.
I appreciate that. And I should mention, when we first got going at this, all we really have to work off of is the state's timeline from the year prior. And in the year prior, the applications were due in November, December. And in an effort to get their funds out quicker, they're actually moving those up to June and July this year. So that's one of the other things that really put us behind the eight ball that we weren't expecting, and made it just a timeline that was too difficult. So,
All right.
all right.
I appreciate you making the trip over.
Yep.
That speaks volumes.
My pleasure. Yeah, we're committed, and we wanted you all to know that.
All right.
Thank you
thanks,
very much.
Scott.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Moving on to item 10B, we have resolution 2024-09. It's a proposed change in use for the real property located at 320 Spruce Street and 400 Avocado Street. Mr. Swain.
I would encourage council to either table it to an uncertain date or simply take no action on it at this time.
Okay.
So you want a motion on table it on, or just let it go?
I think we just let it go at this
Okay.
point.
Let it go.
All right.
Did you need a motion to table? Oh, so we're not tabling
No
it at
action.
all? I'm sorry. Okay.
All right. Next up, we have item 10C, a public hearing in ordinance 1525. An applicant initiated an amendment to the zoning map. Mr. Swain.
Ordinance number 1525 is on your, what you're having a public hearing, and then you'll consider it on a second and final reading. It's entitled an applicant-initiated amendment to the zoning map, specifically changing the zoning designation for a 0.45 acre parcel at 339 Lemon Avenue, further known as its strap number, from Commercial District C1 to Planned Development PD, providing for severability, providing for comfort, and providing for an effective date.
All right. Ms. Barnby?
Yes, good evening. For the record, Marissa Barnby with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. This is an applicant-initiated request for a change in zoning for the property. Next slide, one more, there we go. 339 Lemon Avenue, next slide. This is an aerial view of it. You can see how the school wraps around the back side of it. The site is a little over 17,000 square feet in size. And the request is to go from commercial C1 to planned development with the intention to have the whole site be converted into residential uses. Next slide. This is a picture I took to show the property and the yard that is fenced in, that's adjacent, that is also part of the property. That piece will be converted into parking for on-site use of the residents to be there. This is the alley or the road that runs around it. You can see the school in the background, and this road is a one-way road that is serviced, or that services the areas behind it. And through this planned unit development, they will install parking spaces there that will help assist for visitor parking and additional parking for residents on site. This is just a picture off of Google Maps to kind of show the area, so you can see there's single-family residential uses. There's also commercial and some warehouse-type uses that are right in this same area. So the future land use map is downtown mixed use. Next slide. Downtown mixed use, as it sounds like, allows for a mixture of different residential uses and may allow up to 40 units per acre with the approval of the CRA and the Sebring City Council. The CRA did approve it. Next slide. Last year, they gave their approval for this site to be developed as being presented. Next slide. This is the existing commercial, shows commercial. The public going around it is all the school that's in that location. Next slide. This is what your zoning map will look like if this change is approved. The planned development is requesting a total, or would allow for a total of 6 multifamily dwelling units that range between 744 square feet and 1,236 square feet. The site would also have laundry facilities on site for the residents, as well as a fenced play area and dog park with the parking. This is the master development plan for the site. Again, the existing building is there. All the work is happening within that existing structure. What would be new onto the site is the proposed site parking area, and then the development of a fenced area for children to play in, and dog park type uses there for the residents to accommodate. And then the shed that's on the site today is being renovated to have the laundry facilities and some storage areas for the residents. There is facilities, or public facilities and services can handle it. The school board also issued a letter stating there is capacity for the proposed development to go through. Next slide. The site does have access to the surrounding road network. And then, as I mentioned, they're going to be putting in the 45-degree angle parking in that right-of-way to accommodate additional parking, not only for the residents, but for visitors and people in the area. Next slide. There also would be striping the area next to the fire hydrant to clarify that that is not a parking space, but it's no parking because of fire hydrant. The red line on the map shows where that road runs, and you can see the 5 parking spaces that is being proposed in that right-of-way. We have included recommended conditions of approval. The first is that the site would be developed consistent with the master development plan, and if there's a modification being proposed, it has to follow the PUD requirements in the code for how modifications are addressed. That they will stripe and maintain the on-street parking spaces to be located in that right-of-way, and that they would also then stripe the parking for the no parking area and that other parking in that spot. This is a second reading. Next slide. This is what the zoning map again would look like if you do approve this change this evening. May 14th, the Planning and Zoning Board did hear this item and discussed it and recommended approval to the City Council of this zoning map amendment. This is a public hearing. I am happy to answer any questions you may have, and the applicant's representative is here as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Anything from council? No. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Did you close it?
Close the public hearing.
I make a motion we approve ordinance number 1525 on second and final reading as presented.
I second it.
Ms. Haley?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Haverly.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. That building's needed a lot of help for a very long time.
We're really excited. Thank you. We appreciate your.
Looks good.
Mr. Attorney, or actually, we don't have any business from the audience. Do you have anything?
Nothing in addition to what you got on the agenda.
Perfect. All right, next up is Mr. Natelick. We're gonna talk about fire assessments.
Good evening, council. Agenda item 13A, answer advisory services as they do annually. Send us correspondence looking to get your input on establishing rates for our next fiscal year. Currently, council adopted a schedule which would provide for 23% of the city's annual fire budget. Attached, you'll find a spreadsheet that provides for different rate scenarios that would generate additional funding for the fire department. Currently, you're at the 23% rate. The maximum you could go to is the noticed maximum 35.5% rate. The current adopted rates generate $1.1 million of the current fire budget. As you can see, as you escalate in percentages, it associates with estimated net revenue that towards the fire assessment. Just for means of everybody knowing what the 35.5% would generate, that would generate $1.7 million, whereas we're at $1.1 million today. There are associated rates for each one of these percentages per square foot, other than residential, which is a fixed rate, if you will, per percentage, and vacant land, it also is a fixed rate per percentage that you advance.
Did you get the county and Avon Park rates at what they are and what they're proposed?
I don't have Avon Park rates, but I do have county rates. So currently residential at the county is, and they do residential by square foot. So their current residential rate's .05610 for a 2,000 square foot house. That's $112.20.
Said 112? Okay.
Correct. Obviously, a $3,000 square foot house would be half again that. Their commercial rate is .08414 cents per square foot. The industrial warehouse is .07209 per square foot, and institutional is .08414 per square foot.
That's their current, not, and they haven't proposed new rates yet, did they?
So they noticed their max rates
Mm-hmm.
that they could go to, but they have not adopted any new rates. as
Which
of
they're
yet.
trying to cover, didn't they say they were trying to get up to 100% coverage on their fire assessment?
They have options for that on their that agenda meeting.
And we're at 23%. so.
Right.
And Avon Park, I think I saw was at 64%, so.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to raise it a little bit. I think I personally would be in favor of the 25.8% mark. It's $15 a year for houses. It leaves commercial and industrial unchanged, and a slight bump for institutional nursing homes, and $2 for vacant land. That would net 100 and
Institutional won't change.
it would go from 7 to 8 cents.
Okay. I see
I
what you're
think.
saying.
So that would net us another 135,000 towards the fire budget.
Any other comments on that?
Yeah, I don't like the idea of raising rates. I don't want to increase taxes, but I also know how expensive it is to run a fire department, and I'm learning that more and more. We're got a $2 million fire truck coming our way. Tomorrow we're going to put a new apparatus in production on the road, and it's not cheap. I think we need to go a bit higher than the 25.8%. I mean, I'm on the high end of things. Just if we went to the 33.8%, that's going to bring in about an additional $500,000. But looking at what we have coming up down the pipeline with capital expenses, trying to provide the best service to our residents, it's not cheap. So I might be on the high end of things, but I would push for a larger increase, personally.
Well, the only thing I see about this is everybody pays it. Everybody. And ad valorem, if you increase ad valorem, some people don't. It doesn't affect some people. Some people it affects a lot. This, everybody pays their share of this.
Right.
So I'm for raising it, but I don't know if I want to go 30%.
Yeah.
So I kind of like Josh's number.
Okay.
I realize we need the money, but times are tough too, so we need to consider that. And the taxpayers are definitely the ones that put us here. We have to think about them as well.
Right. Ms. Mendel, you have anything to add?
Well, I don't like to raise taxes either, and I understand where Harrison's coming from. And it's just heartbreaking how high all expenses have gone, and we see how desperately we need to keep our fire protection up and running and in good shape. And as we expand, we need more services, and I don't know if I could go quite as high as what you were thinking, but we definitely are going to have to raise it, I believe. And I'm interested in hearing what each of you all has to say about it.
Well, I think it's a given that we need to increase our rate. It's just a matter of how much.
Yeah. It's a shame with the nursing home, that's such an issue here to have that go up so high. And yet they use an awful lot of fire services, and just very, very difficult.
Any questions or comments from the public? No?
Roland, were you kind of going to make a recommendation, or what are you thinking?
I can't get on board with the 33.
Meet me in the middle. How about 29.3?
Well, how about splitting the baby?
Yeah, so 29.3.
Huh?
29.3%.
If someone has a motion they would like to put forth, we'll entertain it.
Well, Mayor Shoup, what do you think?
I'm definitely, it's a service that we have to provide. And when you pay $2 million for a fire truck, and then we've got to finance that,
Yeah.
plus keep it staffed, and as we're growing, the city continues to grow. We're actually, I think at some time in the very near future, we've got to look at another station. There's a lot of growth, and we've got a lot of development that's going to happen around here, and we're the primary source of fire safety. And I hate
Gotta be
to
ready.
agree with Harrison, but he does make a good point. And I think, but I agree also, it's everything's going up.
It is so difficult.
But we also have to keep the city running like it is. And you can't cut back, you can't take people off the staff. That competition for salaries keeps going up. So if you split it to the 29.3, I think I'd be in favor of that.
One thing I want to point out that I learned after I came on city council, and that is that a lot of these items that are so expensive, rather than raising the taxes, a lot of times the city ends up eating the extra expense. And that was a real surprise to me. And that makes the city budget really hard too. But we definitely have to increase to keep up with everything.
Well, the mayor brings up a good point. You know, we are in need of another station.
Yeah.
And it's something that we need to start planning for now.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it's, you know, we don't get it for 10 more years. We need to start planning for it now.
Yeah, I think we're gonna really see a bump in development and growth, and we need to be strategic and ready, and all of that costs money.
Well, a lot of things too that, you know, the enterprise funds have funded for the city. The state's pretty much taken that ability for us away to use those enterprise funds to help support general obligations. So that's another consideration that when we go into the budget, it's gonna be a challenge how you balance all that, so.
Have they closed those
And
loopholes?
And Leonard made a good point that this affects everybody. It's just that, you know, if we keep adding on the ad valorem side of it, but this affects, you know, all the way down to vacant land, so.
Right. And the thing about it is, I think everybody up here owns a home or two, and I know I have 2 and 3, 4 pieces of vacant land, so I'm gonna pay.
And we're not gonna pay out of our salary here, which is $1.
So what'd you say, 29.3? I'll make a motion that we increase it to 29.3.
And I'll second.
Ms. Haley?
Carl,
Yes?
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes,
Stewart,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes. All right. Next is item 13B. We have a contract to purchase multiple pieces of vacant land located at 125 Markley Street and 213 Don Drive. Mr. Natelick.
So please find attached contract between City of Sebring and the Fryman Trust ownership group for the purchase of a approximately 25-acre tract of land at the above referenced address, which was 125 Markley Street and 213 Don. This is a parcel that if you're looking at from 27, it's behind the Lowe's parcel. Give me 1 second here, sorry.
There you go.
There we go. So as you can see in the upper left, Highlands County already owns a portion of this. Not this parcel, but we did apply for a grant, an open space grant. Jared applied for an open space grant. And verbally, we've been awarded it. We're still waiting on the paper documents to back that up. But there are requirements that we have to fulfill in order to do that. One of them is to create a trail around it, place some benches, maybe an observation point or something of that nature, and then do some stormwater treatment. Part of this area is wetlands area. We've been in conversation not only with the county engineering department, but also Civil Serve. There is the potential to treat water here. There will have to be some discussion with both DEP and SwiftMud in reference to it for stormwater treatment, given that there are some wetlands area here. The grant provides for 60% of the purchase price. Obviously, this doesn't include all the improvements that we're going to have to make. I don't really have a good estimate for you at this point as to what those costs may be. I will make the remark that I think it's beneficial to the city to acquire this property so that it doesn't get developed in the future. Because my personal belief, and I kind of was echoed by both Civil Serve and the county, that if this were to be developed, it's going to create additional stormwater issues for at least those folks who live between it and Lake Jackson at a minimum. So the purchase price for the property is $395, if I remember correctly. They're looking to put $20,000 in escrow. The grant would pay up to $244,200 based upon that price, or I think a price of $407. So I think we threw in some extra costs for closing costs and stuff like that. So it would pay up to $244,200 should all the grant requirements be fulfilled. And we have until 2028 to make those improvements.
To make it the eco park, what requirements does it have to meet?
So it's got to have a trail around it. I believe, if I remember correct, Jared, it's got to be a mile. Is that correct?
Put in about a mile.
A mile in length. Benches. Was there two structures?
So some form of a pavilion?
Right.
Okay.
An observation tower or deck or something, is that what I read?
Similar to what Spring Lake
Spring Lake.
did at Spring Lake.
Similar to what Spring Lake did with their stormwater retention.
Right.
This has been a long discussion with the county and how we manage that water coming off 27 too. This has just not popped up.
So the county.
Actually, we're trying to get the county to help us out, but they're
county's
on
still in
board
the
from saying
process.
it's a nice project. But
So the county's still in the process of doing their due diligence from stormwater analysis.
They're doing that
of
whole
this
study,
basin.
so.
So they're doing a study.
Mhm.
And as we all know, there's water that's draining from the west side of 27 towards Lake Jackson. So once they have the results back from that, they're going to be in a much better position to determine whether they're going to participate in this or not. I would advocate that we purchase the land regardless of whether or not they're going to participate for the aforementioned potential development that could create greater issues for us in the future.
This will also help us with the Lakeview Drive project catching this water.
Yes, to some degree, yes.
Yeah.
In conversation with Civil Serve, it would help, but it's
not the perfect answer, but it helps.
Will we be able to access it by the roadway in between Lowe's and, I'll call it Starbucks? Thunderbird?
So at the upper left up there, that's
No.
a count.
No.
So where down?
Between the
lower
two
left.
shopping centers.
The lower left. So the point that comes down on the left-hand side.
Where
In
do
be-
you
Peter.
propose it to be?
the realtor's here,
So-
you could ask him.
So would I'll ask, ask Pete. I don't know whether or not he's gonna know the answer to this. So this
Pete, do you know
parcel,
the answer?
this parcel back here is
You can't.
actually is still owned by the Fryman Trust, correct? So.
Why don't you have Pete come up?
They're talking about accessing it from here?
Correct.
So this parcel here is still owned by the Fryman Trust, correct?
Right, that's the stormwater pond for Lowe's, for this out parcel, and Wendy's. And of course, the project that's in the Lowe's parking lot.
So I guess the question is, could we get an easement from this roadway
We
onto
can-
that parcel?
We'll
We
find
can
out in the due
include-
diligence
We
period.
can include that in the contract.
Yeah.
For that now.
Being that there is a light on that street, I think it would be a pretty ideal place to access it.
Where are you gonna park?
We would have to install a
Few park.
We'd have to create some parking.
Okay.
I think it's wise to purchase this now and make sure industrial doesn't get in there and cause more of a water issue. And you're saying that there's the potential that there is already some water,
It's wet.
I guess, yeah, but it isn't a matter of, it's kind of a natural treatment of the water that's going into the lake just because it's wetlands and all. But then we would do something a little more, I don't know what the right word is, something a little bit
You'll
more
build
in the way of
documents.
water treatment?
So the concept might be is retention ponds that step down, because the elevation up here to the left, if you will, or to the west, is higher than it is towards the lake. So conceptually, you could create a series, if you will, of retention areas to help treat the water. But it's really an engineer. It requires an engineered solution, of course.
And the grants being given because they want like an eco park type thing, is that?
Yeah, open space.
Yeah.
Preserving land is, it's part of preserving, Florida's preserving land forever. And then, Jared, the sidewalks are a requirement as well, right? Yes. So a sidewalk down to Lakeview. So if you look at that red line there at the lower right, that's a proposed type of sidewalk along right-of-way down to Lakeview to ultimately end up at the sidewalk at Lakeview.
All right. Anything else? Any questions from the public?
One other thing, and it's in the agenda item summary, but we will need to do a phase one environmental. The approximate cost on that is $3,000, and that actually is a requirement of the grant as well. I would have recommended it anyway, I think.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve sale and purchase contract as presented and authorize staff to obtain a phase one environmental and wire escrow funds to the escrow agent of record.
Did you want to insert possible easement?
I think let's work that out in our due diligence period and we can.
Okay. I don't know
address
if
it.
Peter recommend putting it in the contract, correct?
I know there's a number of cross-access agreements on those parcels.
Okay.
We could add it to the contract because the seller hadn't yet signed it if you want to have, they don't own the property immediately to the west.
Well, that corner, there's a road that goes back there.
Right, and I believe that was developed with access easements for those parcels. We can certainly add something if you want, but it can be a reason during due diligence that we readdress it or cancel it if we don't like it, if we don't believe there's sufficient access.
My only concern with this conversation is that I want to make sure that this does happen, this eco park, that we have access by car from 27, not the residential community. That's my only concern. But
That would be in the contract.
Right. All right, we have a motion.
And it seems like the residential, area, like people riding their bikes and all down around the lake, they could access on that
I'm
little
only
rail
talking
lines.
about by
Yeah.
car.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalk. And then
Second.
the parking would have to come in from Lowe's area.
27.
Yeah.
Hold the board.
Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
And for the record, thank you, Jared, for all the work too, making this happen. Appreciate it.
Ms. Haley? Anything else?
Council needs to approve the payment of the bills, please.
So moved.
Second.
Hold the board.
I'm sorry, who said it?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Carlisle.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
yes.